Hello everyone and welcome to another video. It's your girl, Scarlet. If you've seen the thumbnail of this video, then you know the main character of this video is MC herself. It's been going around on Twitter, or X especially, saying that MC is rude. Now, before I go into this, I'm going to just flat out say I do not agree with this statement, and I'm making this video to express why. Now, originally I wanted to maybe make this a video to complain about the state of the lads community, but then I realized, you know what, it's not really necessary. I'm merely making this video just to express myself and why I just do not agree with this sentiment. So here goes. First off, I feel like the fact this is a Chinese Otome game is a very important factor to take into account. It's very possible that a lot of nuance gets lost in English for the sake of emphasizing or exaggerating the characters. Take Rafayel for example. Recently, in my Into the Canvas gameplay, he legit says, "Your eyesight suck." When really it's more like, "If your eyesight was so bad, ... Yet the translation decided to use the word suck instead of bad, just to give Raphael a more sassy attitude. I feel like this is due to the challenges of properly portraying the character in a different language. So for some context, in a lot of Asian language, you'll find a lot of poetic or idiomatic expressions that can be used in not just a formal setting, but even in our everyday lives. Let's just say a 4-character idiom can sometimes take, 2 sentences in English just to deliver its meaning. And I think this is why a lot of times when it comes to translating, you have to pay attention to the context of the situation and the intent of the speaker. So just to show you what I mean by the challenges that English localization faces when it comes to translating the lines of a character, I wanted to show you some scenes from Sylus's chapter. And I'm going to play it right here. Oh my gosh, she's so cool. Okay, so that part. Now, I do have a document that I'm using to help me out. And this document, I really want to give props to them for starting up such a big project into showing the differences between the original Chinese lines and the English localization. So over here, so that line that he just said, Yao Mei Ba. So Mei Ba in this sentence literally means tail. So the direct translation would be, "There's a tail that followed us, take care of it." However, in the English localization, instead of actually mentioning that there's a tail that followed them, he said they use the word vermin and even uses the term running amok to express that they're still being followed. So the point about this one is probably to show how ruthless Sylus is, because he wants him to take them out. However, in the Chinese, there's a bit more of a subtleness to it. Like, he's more cool, and it almost feels like he doesn't really care about the people that have been following them. In here, he seems to be more aggressive, even though his tone is very sultry and I don't want to say monotonous, because it's definitely not monotonous. I mean, what I'm feeling is not monotonous when I listen to him. But yes, the delivery does tend to feel different. Now, I do think this is okay. This is done well. But I think the aim to how they're expressing the character is a little different compared to the Chinese translation. In the English dialogue, they really, really want to emphasize just how ruthless Sylus is. Whilst in the Chinese translation, he sounds more like, rich man, this is my everyday duty. Yeah, I got people following me. Who cares? Just take them out. Stuff like that. Because he even goes so far as to call him vermin, right? But that's never mentioned in the Chinese translation. All it says, have tail, still coming around. Herchule, that means go take care of it. That's it. Never even calls them vermin. Now, another one that I want to show you. Let me just forward it a little bit.
这就是你送我的见面礼吗？
So in this one, Ginmin Lai over here. Wait, is it over here? Yeah, it's here. So Ginmin Lai Mat. Ginmin Lai Mat, that means like a meeting present, right? A present that is given when you meet each other. So instead of actually saying the word present, they ended up interpreting it as, is this how you greet a new friend? But the direct translation is, this is the welcome present you've given me. Well, I do think so far it did deliver the intentions of Sylus. So I think this is actually quite a good localization. There's not much difference. Same thing with here. But here, even though they interpret it using different words, the feeling that it gives off is still the same. So that's why I think this is a very good example of a very good interpretation of what Sylus says. Now, however, there is one thing over here, this last one. Let me just play that bit so we can take a look at it together. Yep, here.
毕竟我们才是真正的同类。
Okay, so that last line, 我们才是 this part, 我哋先係真正嘅同類. Especially this part here. The person who made the document also mentions it right here. The connotation of only is missing. I feel like we're the same. A little bit different from just saying we're the same. So what the English translation did is they added the words true kindred spirits, because they knew the words of we're the same meant more than just we are the same. It actually means like we are of the same kind, right? True kindred spirits. So this here is also a very good interpretation, because they knew that just the phrases that we are the same is not enough, even though that is what he said. We are 我哋先係真正嘅同類. But by eliminating the word only, it sort of takes away the intention that Sylus wants to say that it's only you and me. There's nobody else. And I think that also puts in a lot of meaning into how he's feeling when he sees her for the first time. By the way, I have linked this document in my communities tab, but I will also link this document into the video below in case you want to take a look at it yourself. Please do take a look at it, and honestly, I give a lot of props to the person who made this. Translated by subtextually with editing help from Tokyo Apple. Please, a lot of applause for these two people. I'm sorry, I realized my character's in the way. Let me just move her a bit. So lots of props to the people who worked on this project. It's very, very detailed work, and I really, really, really appreciate it. Do give it a look. I feel like it also gives you a bit more understanding into Sylus's character if you read the direct translation of his Chinese dialogue. So yeah, take a look. Now, it's very hard not to find typical tropes in Otome games, and sometimes having their personality shine through in a different language definitely poses a lot of challenges. And it just so happens I feel like this game did a much more poor job at it compared to the rest. But then again, I've never paid attention to the differences before until now, and I guess that just shows how obsessed I am with this game. Okay, so let's take my whole speech about English localization and put it on the side for now. Because I think this part is more about the characters' dynamics and not necessarily about the language. Now, first, let's take into account Zane is an actual childhood friend. We can already see how out of all the love interests, her relationship with Zane is the most developed because of her existing trust in him. And then we have Xavier, who is her colleague and partner. They have to literally count on each other and trust each other with their lives on the field. But even then, we have seen cases of her teasing them a lot, and they tend to do the same too. Except for Xavier. I know he sort of like just takes it and then brushes it off, like so coolly, because he just wants MC to do whatever she wants and live her life to the fullest. So then what about MC's dynamic with Sylus and Rafayel? Why can't she be sweeter? Well, for Sylus, let's just go back and remember MC's very first impression of a hunk of a big man. Now,
allow me to jog your memory. To your future, to even all the crimes you'll inevitably commit, but you're still unable to achieve even a simple resonance. How disappointing. Want some help? Yes, no, maybe so.
are you in love yet? Okay, all jokes aside, regardless of how sinfully, ridiculously, unapologetically hot as fuck this man is, yeah, let's be real. If he were a real person who choked you out, let you believe you were kidnapped and imprisoned for 3 days, forces you to pull the trigger on him, and forces to resonate with you, would you be nice to this man? Hiya, future Editing Scarlet here. One of the viewers who actually commented on my community post here made an excellent point that I kind of want to highlight since I never mentioned it during my recording. But this right here, I feel like this is a very important point. The other guy insinuated that Sylus had to be nice to us for resonating to work. If I were her, I would be skeptical if Sylus was genuine going forward. I think that's really very valid. That's a very valid point. This is a super big deal because remember, Sylus's attitude towards you takes a much more noticeably big turn when he realizes MC is disgusted by him. So I would not be surprised if MC doubts the sincerity of his advances because of how desperately he wants to resonate with her. And we as players may theorize it's because she might be able to remember their past time together if they resonate. But the thing is, MC doesn't know that. So yeah, I'd be hostile and reluctant too. So that's for Sylus. Then what about Rafayel? Now, I am aware that the majority of the people who complained about MC being mean to Rafayel aren't exactly referring to when they, like play jab at each other, because they do. A lot. And Rafayel teases and provokes MC, and he loves her reactions, and MC does the same too. I think their main issue is when Rafayel opens up and sort of becomes vulnerable, and yet MC's response is very weird, I guess. I think the most notable one is during that one scene, Ebb and Flow, which is the canon bonding scenario that happens as you raise affinity with Rafayel. Now, I'd like to just share my idea as to why I don't think she's being mean. Spoilers ahead? Be warned.
夜も更けてきたし、弱みにつけ込んで絵を全部もらっていこうかな。
僕が絵を全部燃やすかもよ。怖くないの？
別に、今のあなたはいじめ放題。何もかも私次第。私がその気なら、あなたをさらえるね。
さらうだって？
真珠の涙に鋭い鱗、溢れる才能まで持っているあなたを手放すわけないでしょ。閉じ込めて、鞭で打って、絵を描かなければご飯もあげない。食べたかったらご主人様と呼びなさい。
そう呼ばれたいの？
え？
ご主人様？
Now, to me at least, I feel like MC is kind of taken aback when Raphael reveals that he is actually a Lemurian. Her reaction tells me she doesn't really know if he is joking or not, despite seeing the panchak sim sim gong gong, the sparkly scale. Sorry, I forgot how to say sparkly for a while. I mean, think about it. Things like Evol and Wanderers have only become a possibility like 14 years ago in this Lincoln timeline. But that doesn't mean creatures from fairy tales and myths became real as well. So if we take into consideration the dynamic between the two, just remember Raph was being very cold during this time, telling her to leave and whatnot. So I think that also sort of hurt MC's feelings. I just feel like MC's response is due to a very misguided attempt to cheer him up by playing along with his joke. But of course, when later on, seeing how serious he was, even scaring her a little, her doubts that he was joking and saw how his fear of her hurting him was actually real, sort of led her to instead comfort him and made promises to never leave. And I thought the scene ended in a very heartfelt, tone. So I was very surprised to think that people thought MC was being rude at that time. But again, I do see how it can sound like that if we forget their dynamic a little bit. And, if that's the only scene that you remember, you sort of forget the premise where Raphael was actually the first one to act all moody, and he was also sort of kind of being like very blasé about asking her to leave. He was very blunt. So I can understand why MC decided to act the way she did or say the things she said. Now, would I have said stuff like that? No, because that's just not stuff that I would say personally. But I can see why MC does. So what does this tell me? I think MC as a character is still young. I think she's like 20 to 23 years old, right? And she's just trying to make her way into the world. I don't think she's perfect, and sometimes she can be super dense or even very insecure about her feelings. And I think that's fine as a character. It's frustrating for us as players who are probably more experienced than her in terms of forming either romantic or platonic relationships. But I do believe that this is part of MC's journey as her character develops. She's not perfect, and I think that's fine. Okay, so for this next bit, I'm gonna have to tread lightly because, again, I need to emphasize this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. And please don't take it as hard fact because, everyone plays games differently. So when it comes to visual novels in games, even the female leads or the protagonists of the story, they tend to fall into archetypes as well. Like how the lad's love interest falls into different character tropes, it's not surprising that the MC does as well. But what about the MCs for Otome games? I know in general people play Otome games to self-insert, and by self-insert, I mean they take MC as themselves. Basically, they play MC as themselves. However, based on the Otome games I've played so far, some are I do think some are for self-insert while some aren't, and I think some might even have a bit of a mix between the two. And I can't stress enough how much I want to say that this is not factual information. This is just my opinion based on my experience, so you don't have to agree with me. But anyway, just for context, some Otome games can have like the blurred faces of the MC sprite, or the ones without their eyes, and their multiple choices vary, and that usually shows different personality types. Games like these make it very easy to self-insert since the MC appears as a sort of a blank slate and moves according to the player's intentions and even leads to various different endings based on those choices. Then we have games where the MC's face is fully visible, especially when you unlock a CG, like in Tears of Themis. They feel less like self-insert since the character makes their own decisions, and whatever choice you make, the ending stays the same. Of course, whilst the intention of the MC as self-insert or not is never mentioned directly when the Otome game is marketed, it just really became something I subconsciously recognized when playing different Otome games. So then, what about Lads? What about Love and Deepspace? Personally, I think it's a bit of in between. The game tries its best to not fully show the MC's face up front, and you're not exactly given the freedom to decide how the MC responds. Because Miss Hunter is a fleshed out character, which is why I don't believe it's very suitable for self-inserting for this game. Now, does that mean you shouldn't do it? Absolutely not. I have no say as to how you want to play this game. In fact, do whatever you want. I don't and should not have any say in it. However, keeping in mind that MC also has her own personality, it's easy to feel like you can't resonate with her since her intentions won't fall in line with the players. Which leads me to believe why some players think MC is rude. We have more insight on the love interest history and past tragedies that if it were us, we would never say some of the things MC would. But then that's the thing. MC doesn't know anything. You know how like normies who keep up with the game through TikToks and Facebook posts judge people who like Sylus, calling him a red flag and that whoever likes him are romanticizing violence? Yeah, those people? If I were to be fair, I'd arguably probably even say all of them can be red flags. They are all hiding things from MC, either by lying or just by omission. It makes total sense how MC is guarded against them. Many times in game, MC has tried to sort of reach out to know more, but when the love interests push them away, she respects that they don't want to talk about it. You know, take Raphael's Misty Invasion card as an example. Although she does tend to still push a little sometimes. But then after a few failed attempts, she leaves them be. I really cannot blame her for being scared to open up with the love interest when they themselves are only willing to open up to an extent as long as their secret stays a secret. But of course, I do not believe categorizing people as red or green flag based on just one thing. We are all complex beings, and the love interests of Love and Deepspace are just as complex, and so is MC. So there, that's why I don't believe MC is rude. But do I want you to agree with me? Yeah, of course, but do you have to? No, you don't. I just want to put this out there and hopefully provide a little more insight to take into consideration before, being upset about MC's behavior. At least for now. The game is still young. After all, you never know. I might be eating my words in a few months. Anyway, what do you think? Do you think MC is rude? I found a lot of comments on my communities tab that I mostly agree with, and it was fun to see points that I never thought of, so let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd like to give a shout out to these viewers. These viewers over here. I don't know how long I have to do this because, that's like post-editing. I'd like to give them a shout out. They leave a lot of comments on my videos, and it really helps making me feel less like I'm just, talking or screaming to the void. Anyway, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you feel like it, I guess. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye!